I'm with Scott, and we kind of got lucky being here doing the machine work on my motor while they're doing this expo because he's actually with Rottler. So some of you guys that watched the video yesterday when I was talking about young guys can make a lot of money doing this, Scott evidently is one of those young guys that makes a lot of money.
I don't know about all that, but we can hold some blocks for you.
Well, we're trying to get people to actually, guys get off their ass and actually come learn to do this.
Yep.
How old are you?
I am 40.
Oh shit, this guy's holding his age way too damn good. I just thought I was. So, okay, so it's not one of the young guys, but still pretty young. What are we doing to my box?
So right now we're gonna take 7.5 thousandths out of it, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the final crosshatch in there for oil retention, and we're gonna take it, make it perfectly straight.
So, there's a process. So the block's been bored.
Yep.
Now you're gonna take this home, and you're gonna square that cylinder up and rough hone it.
Yep.
And then after it's rough hone, then you're actually gonna put the crosshatch pattern.
It'll be maintaining that crosshatch pattern the whole time, but then once we get done rough honing, we're gonna go ahead and put in our finishing CBNs. These are 600 grit CBNs, and these roughing diamonds are 170 grit. And so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna rough the size with this, and then we're gonna give you a 10 plateau strokes with the 600 grit CBNs.
Okay, you understand. These people don't know what the hell you're talking about. Take that down to layman's term. What are you doing with the second hone?
Okay, so the second,
they understand
plateau,
rough and finish.
Yep.
But
So the plateau diamond, or the plateau CBNs, what we're doing is when you get done rough honing, you're gonna have a bunch of peaks and valleys. And what we're gonna
so
do,
it's not gonna be nice and round and.
it's gonna be round, but basically if you look at it with a microscope, you got lots of mountains and lots of valleys. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna come in, it's gonna cut the mountains down, it's gonna make them into plateaus so that your rings, that's where your rings are actually gonna ride right there. And then the valleys is where your oil's gonna hide.
So we're gonna take all that out of it.
Yep.
You don't need no oil hiding. We don't want no hot oil. We either want it to be leaking or not burning.
Not burning. That's what we're doing.
So, show everybody how this thing works.
Absolutely.
He's already set it up by putting the torque plate on it. The torque plate.
Yeah.
You can explain why we put a torque plate on it. Why there's not just a block. This plate right here.
This plate right here is mimicking the head. So it's basically, so we're honing it in the conditions it's going to be ran more or less. So that it keeps the cylinder perfectly, so that when we hone it straight now, when we take that off, it might not measure straight right when we take that torque plate off, but when you retorque your head on there, it's going to mimic what we got here, and you're going to have a perfectly straight hole for your piston to go up and down.
So when you guys have seen those guys with a honing it in a tank, which is all right, but this is next level. This is actually making sure that everything is nice and square and you get a good ring seal. Because without a good ring seal, when I put 30 pounds, Billy's not here, is he? So if I say 30 pounds of boost in front of him, he's going to have a heart attack. It's supposed to be 10 to 12.
So this program is already all set up. We're going to go ahead and go ahead and move the first hole here.
He was moving so fast, I had to get him to stop because he always got one side done and was fixing to flip it over to do the other side. So I had to catch you because I want you guys to see this process of what he's doing.
So we've already figured out where it is and where it needs to go. Like I said, we're taking out 7.5 thou out of this block. So really, I should be ready just to get down in this hole. I'm just going to double check and make sure everything's good because we've been playing with a lot of things. But I can just hit cycle start right here, and we're.
So you've already put a program in there telling it what the bore is now.
Yep.
Where it is.
Where all the bore locations are for the offset of the block, so it can literally go down the block automatically.
Which is all the setup, and I know you guys don't want to see the setup. You want to see the actual workings of it. So Scott just went ahead and got the other side done. So now we're over here doing this.
Yep. So we got the red line here represents the side of your cylinder and how straight it is essentially.
Talk loud.
So the red line is a representative of the side wall of the cylinder actually.
And this is reading the cylinder wall while it's honing.
Yep, that's it, based off your spindle load as we're spinning down. That's how we get this line, and that's how we're able to make really straight holes within a temp. So it's pretty damn accurate.
Why
can say speed. So there, it's not, when you saw it change speed, it was doing the short stroke. It wasn't honing the whole cylinder.
It was just catching one bad spot.
It was sensing that it was a little tighter down the lower. So instead of doing the 6-inch stroke, we were only doing maybe 3 inches. And it was only working the area that needed to be worked to make it straight.
So more efficient.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gotta straighten it all up. Put it line down. Setup time. When this block first comes in here, how long does it take you to get everything measured and set up?
Write a program, you can write a program, and I mean, I can probably have you write a program in under 10 minutes. I can probably write one in under 5, but once you have the program, it's forever staying in there. They had the program written before I got here, because it's 12 watts shift, you know, so it was already written, but you can write a program in one of these in about 5 minutes.
Now, will it go cylinder to cylinder on its own?
It will. It will.
But we're just going to do one cylinder because I already know you guys are going to want to see the short version of this. So we're actually going to give you the short version, and then I'll let you get back to doing it, the whole thing.
Absolutely. We got about 3,000 left. We can cut now, and then when we go to switch to the next stone, that's actually probably.
We'll keep talking about it.
All right.
So it's got three.
So right here it shows the countdown. Basically, we got about 3.5 to go, 3.5 thousandths of material still. And we're running a coolant base, not oil. And so this is
Not oil.
This is not oil. This is synthetic coolant. So it's actually probably about 65 gallons of water and 5 gallons of concentrate. And
Yeah, let's get on Scott. Right?
So basically the advantage of using the coolant is that it keeps the cylinder perfectly cold. We can touch that as soon as it's done, and it is stone cold to the touch. You can hit that with a thermometer gun, and you can literally tell that none of the cylinders are getting any heat, which is great because that means I can hone the size. I don't need to worry about it heating, expanding, or shrinking.
Why would you care if it got hot?
Well, if it gets hot, it's going to distort more, and then the old timers will dig. So I could literally hone right down this block. I don't need to hone this hole and this hole and this hole or anything like that because I'm not trying to dissipate heat because I'm not generating any heat. So if I'm
when
not
it
generating
heat, everything expands.
Exactly.
When it gets cold, everything contracts.
Yep.
If you keep it at one temperature, it's like a lot of people don't understand it. You can take a crankshaft and check a crankshaft at 70 degrees, 80 degrees, and 90 degrees. It's always different.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
that's the benefit of doing a machine like this because you're not heating that cylinder. If that cylinder gets hot, how many thousands could it get if it raised 20 degrees?
It's gonna move more, which means when I get done honing that cylinder, I might measure it. It might say it's 5/10 tighter than it actually is when we come back later. And so I can hone straight to size, and what that measures when we get done
Is what it's going to be.
Is what it's going to be 5 minutes from now, an hour tomorrow. It's going to always be that size because we haven't generated any heat, so there's no expanding or shrinking going on.
Kind of like when Billy took the seat and put them in the freezer. So he made them contract so he could drive them in. You don't want contraction or expansion when you're holding the cylinder. This is the most integral part, the most important part, other than bearing clearance of an engine build. Because if this is wrong, that bitch is gonna smoke. It's not gonna have good ring seal. You're not gonna have good compression. It goes under boost. You're gonna have flow by. This is a very important part, not only for horsepower. I mean, this is a horsepower thing.
Oh, absolutely, and longevity. I mean, you guys, you make a few passes, obviously, but
this thing, we're gonna beat this is going in my street car.
Okay,
we're gonna beat the balls off this thing.
So longevity-wise, for sure, people that are doing this, obviously, they want the motors to last, depending on if you're doing lighters and whatnot. But it's so nice to have something that you can really.
Everything in the racing world is about repeatability.
And this
in a dyno, in this hone machine, in a boring machine, in a CNC machine. If you can't repeat the same act over. That it's not the same. It's basically just not the same. But now we're down to
The last half a thou, 5/10. So we're almost there. And actually, when we get down to about the last 1 or 2 tenths, you're gonna see this line. We've been honing at 35% load this whole time. You're gonna see this load. It's gonna work its way down to the 25% finishing load we're asking for. And so that's when it's really gonna continue to make this thing even straighter, basically. So we end up with a nice straight cylinder within a tenth. And then we'll throw in the finishing CBNs, the finishing stones, and we'll take it full size.
now normally, if you guys' attention span could hang on that long, he'd do to each hole, and then come back and start with the finishing stuff.
Exactly.
But we're not gonna do the shortened version. Like we're not gonna half-ass it. We're gonna show you how it goes from this process to the next process, and I don't know exactly how this deal works. Rottler makes some badass stuff.
We do. And I mean, for general interior building or high performance, we got mom and pop shops out there. We got major manufacturers running our stuff.
There's not very many people in the general automotive deal that are using this kind of machinery. But it does need to be the standard, because whether you're building this motor to race or you're building motors, there's a reason GM motors go 300,000 miles.
There you go. So it just finished that hole. It came out. It actually moved to the next hole. We stopped it because
See how it automatically moved? Because it would have went right into this one, done this one. It would have done everything and finished it. But he's going to stop it, go back, change, put the final stones on it.
Exactly. So we're just going to go ahead and swap our holders and our diamonds out here. And one of the questions I get asked often is, how come we're plateauing with 4 stones, but we're rough honing with 6? And so that all boils down to hole geometry. We've already made the hole perfectly straight, so now all we're doing is working with the surface finish. And so we're changing the surface finish, but the hole's already perfectly round, so there's no reason to have 6 stones. Some people still do, and that's fine.
That's just burning up stones for no reason, though.
Exactly. And Rottler sells them in sets of 4, so that's also a reason a lot of people run sets of 4 instead of 6. But, all right, so that's all done. We got our finishing stones in there. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on plateau mode, and we're going to do 10 strokes in that hole to change the surface from the rough surface we currently have to a smoother finish. It's going to take the peaks, it's going to turn them into plateaus.
Like, the people that follow my page are actually guys that actually, that's why my social media is so big. They know I work on my shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to learn this stuff. But they don't want to. A lot of people, they go over the head. You've been great because you're explaining it in a way that everybody can understand it. Because nobody wants to feel stupid.
Thank you.
And when you start talking about some guys, when we do these videos, they want to seem like they're really smart.
And so that was your 10 strokes right there. So this
Okay.
hole's now done.
Let's check this out. Where is it? This side. So you can see this finish versus that finish. You can tell just by the reflection of the light the difference.
Absolutely. This is definitely smoother.
God, I got lucky. Rottler self. They sent a guy just to do my motor. Isn't that fucking cool?
Imported.
Thank you, brother.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
There we go.